we'll be we'll be covering scientific paper writing session. Now, the reason why I am meeting you all is for this particular course on scientific paper writing, where I will take you through some inputs on what has to be kept in mind when you write a scientific paper. And after the my sessions, you will be given a briefing on two assignments which you have to submit, right, which is also mentioned in the slides, and these slides will be shared with you all, so you don't have to worry about noting down anything, or everything which is there in the slide. The slides will be shared with you, right? Is that fine? So
Yeah.
coming back to scientific paper writing, a very good morning, Sangram. Welcome to this class.
Good morning,
And
ma'am.
yeah, so
Thanks.
now that we are having the dates of the exam and everything published, now is the time to kind of brush up whatever has been done and whatever is left, so that you all can finish your credit requirements, right? So coming back to this particular component, so this component, this course of scientific paper writing is for 2 credits, which means it carries 50 marks, and it is an internal assessment, which means there is no end term exam. So that's the first thing you all have to keep in mind, that there is going to be no exam for this as an end semester exam. There will be an assessment based on your 2 assignments that you will submit, right? Now, what are those assignments? The briefing of that will be given towards the end of my lecture, right? So coming back to scientific paper writing, what according to you, you all must have gone through some research papers by now, each one of you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so can you tell me what according to you is a scientific paper? And feel free to interact, it's okay. I'm not assessing you right now. We are only trying to engage with you and trying to understand your understanding of what is a scientific paper. So
Which gets published in one of the journals.
sorry, come again.
I mean to say, the paper which gets published in one of the journals.
Yeah, who's speaking? This is Vijay, right? So Vijay,
Sangram.
sorry, Sangram. So Sangram, scientific papers are published in journals, yes, but there are some journals which may be publishing, papers which may not be scientific as well. So we need to define what is a scientific paper. So what, according
Scientific
to
paper
you?
may be like any research topic where we have
Hmm,
done a proper analysis, collected all the details, did
hmm,
the literature review where we have
hmm,
reviewed most of the literature around that area, and
hmm,
did the gap analysis. So whatever has been
hmm,
recorded till
hmm,
date in that kind of research and all, and what is
hmm,
still missing,
hmm,
and which are the open areas
hmm,
around that topic which are yet to be
hmm,
explored or yet to be concluded
hmm.
upon. So,
Hmm,
and the documentation containing all these kind of
hmm,
things with some
hmm,
proposals if possible,
hmm,
or the research
hmm.
finding is the research paper, I think so.
Yeah, so Vijay, yes, you are closer to the answer that I was expecting. That there is a basically scientific paper is a paper which follows a scientific approach, right? And when we say a scientific approach, it means a systematic way of writing, drafting, which has all the necessary subcomponents, right? So when we are concluding something, for example, so let's say we are doing a research, or let's say the research paper is on understanding the reading habits of teenagers, let's say, right? We are trying to understand the reading habits of the teenagers, right? Assuming that in in today's context, very few teenagers are reading, right? So, to understand whatever they are reading, right, what is the, the driver for that, what is their motivation, what exactly is the content they are looking out for, from where are they reading, so let's say there is a research done and now you are writing a scientific paper on that, right? So there has to be a proper format in which you will write the paper, and then on that basis you will draw your conclusions. Am I clear to everybody? Yes. So,
Yeah.
if you just write randomly something, right, that, okay, my understanding is that, in India, teenagers are hardly reading anything, and therefore this topic becomes redundant. Now, this kind of a generalization, right, it will not have a scientific approach because your basis is not correct. You have not, you have just based on your, gut feel. You are writing something, but you have not based it on the scientific way of doing, which means, what was the objective, then what is the methodology, then what were the findings, as Vijay you were saying, and then what is the conclusion. So these steps are very important to arrive at what you are writing at the end. Am I clear to everybody? Any questions at this stage?
No,
Yes.
ma'am.
Any one of you,
As of now, nothing, ma'am.
interact, yeah, interact, and if there's anything that you also have in mind as a doubt, please ask, because this is not, at the PhD level we expect that the class is more, interactive, and it clears the doubts that you may have, because, again, please understand, all this is done for us to strengthen your ability and your understanding of eventually writing your own thesis, right? All these are steps towards that. So if it's clear to all of you, what I'll do is I will share my slides and I will quickly run through my slides, right? And if there are
Yeah.
still any questions, we can take it up at the end. Is that fine with all of you?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So just give me a minute. I will just share my slides. Okay. So can I get access, Vijay, since you are the host, can I get access to, screen sharing?
Yes. Yes, I'll just check how to grant you access. Yeah.
You have to make me a co-host, yeah, or the host, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I made you
Great.
host. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I'll just share my slides now. So are my slides visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll put it on the slideshow mode so that it's further clear to all of you. Yeah. Is that okay now?
Yeah,
Yes?
okay. Yeah, can
Everybody?
see.
Okay, great, great. So how to write a scientific paper is what we are basically, discussing right now. So let us understand what's mentioned in the slides, which you should know. So, so the first and foremost is task of writing a research paper can be daunting. Why it can be daunting? Because as I told you, it has to follow the steps, and the steps makes it daunting. Anything which is not following the steps is very easy to write, but then that may not be, classified as a scientific paper, right? Next is, even with groundbreaking research, unless the paper is correctly written, at best publication will be delayed, and at worst it may never get published. So paper needs to be correctly written, and with even with the best of the research, the writing of the paper is another skill that we are talking about. So one skill is doing research, other skill is writing of, that of your work, right, in the form of a scientific paper, right? Presentation will provide an overview of how to write a well-structured research paper for publication, right? So this is where it stands. Now, the writing of a scientific paper, from the author's perspective, what is the motivation to publish, right? It could be, the first choice, and this is again based on the research that was done by the authors, which are also mentioned, referred, right? Brian Cole's edited work says that the from the author's perspective, their motivation to publish, the topmost is dissemination of their knowledge, which is 54% as the first choice. Then career prospects. The more they publish, the better their career prospects are. That's a 20%. Improved funding, right? Because funding is linked to publication in reputed journals. That could be 13%. In 13% of the cases. Again, ego boosting is 9%. Patent protection is 4%, and some other reasons could be 5%. So this is typically what was found by the authors, that the perspective given by why an author is motivated to publish their work, right? So as you can see, dissemination becomes very, very critical. If you have done groundbreaking research, let's say in some part of the world, how will others know about it, right? If you post it, now that we have access to social media, but the social media, if you post something like your own research work, is that really the best platform? So if we talk about the access to the various social media platforms that we have, right? If you publish your research there, do you think you will be if you will be noticed or acknowledged, or will it be taken seriously? Yes, scholars.
Yes. No, ma'am.
Yeah.
It is not the right platform.
So
So
see, somebody may take a note of it, but those platforms are not the platforms to to publish something which is let's say your own some research which you may have done, which is path breaking, or which is kind of based on kind of a very scientific approach, right? And you have taken up, you worked very hard in getting the right sample and the right approach you followed, and your findings and conclusion. So the social media platforms may not really be interested in such kind of work, because for them the format has to be different for them to to really be motivated to read. Am I right? So therefore, the platforms which exist for publishing these are the reputed journals, where such papers will get noticed very well, right? And if your paper is a groundbreaking research, then it will get also a lot of citations, right? A lot of those who read your work may like to refer to your work, and they may cite your work. Am I clear to everybody? Yes, to scholars, in case I'm
yeah,
going overboard, please let me know. I can repeat, right? But the whole idea is we give you an idea, or rather we give you a perspective of why, where you have to publish, why scientific paper, what is it, and therefore when you write your own paper, you can keep these points in mind, right? So
yeah,
the author publishing priorities, from the author's point of view, they would like to, of course, have quality and speed, right? They would like their work to be published fast, right? So while speed is very important, but the pace at which the publication happens in reputed journals, it could take 1 year, some, in some cases, 2 years. So there is a long waiting period, because it goes through the process of it being referred, and there are these these referees who will refer to it. They will give comments, and it goes back to the author makes the changes, and again it goes back, and finally, if it gets approved, then only it stands to be published, right? So the speed at which publishing can happen, what are the referee standards, and what is the journal reputation, all these things play a very important role. So this is given that, and therefore for you all, since now at the university level we have made it mandatory that there has to be one scopus, one publication of scholars in a scopus index journal. Therefore, please keep this in mind, that you need to start early for you to get your publication through at the right time, and that can help you to kind of complete your work, because without the publication we will not move to the next level. so those things have to be, it's like a checklist which you will have to keep in mind, right? So 2 presentations in a conference, in a reputed conference, and 1 publication in a in a Scopus Index journal is the mandatory requirement for all scholars who are attached with the Department of Management. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes.
Yes, scholars?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So please keep this in mind, and when you are working on it, this is where it'll help you, right? Then author versus reader behavior. So what does the author want and what does the reader want? And is there any way to meet, right? So if you look at the author behavior, they want to publish more, isn't it? From the author's perspective, they want to publish more, whereas if you look at from the reader perspective, they want to read less. So this is the first paradox, right, that we have to keep in mind and be aware of, right? Reader wants to read less and author wants to publish more. So how do you reconcile, right? How do you reconcile to this? And this is again based on Elsevier, is a platform for publication. Elsevier's study of 36,000 authors presented by Michael Mabe at the seminar on learning from users. So I'm referring to this work, but it is very interesting insight given by the by Michael Mabe, that the author wants to publish more and the reader wants to read less. Again, author wants peer review as essential, right? Whereas from a reader's point of view, they want integrated system, right? They want browsing is crucial. So it has to be easy, on browsing. It has to be well integrated. This is the reader requirement, whereas the author wants that the peer review is essential and other journal functions are crucial, correct? Wider dissemination is what the author wants, but from the reader point of view, quality information is important, right? So reader will read only what is of quality information to them, right? And they want to read less, right? So this is the typical paradox in which we all live, and yet we have to see how do we reconcile to this, right? And the only way we can reconcile is not only you do path tracking work, your path breaking work has to be well written, well kind of drafted, right? It has to follow all the the rules of a scientific paper writing. And then if you publish in a reputed journal, right, there are going to be a very strong possibility that there will be readers interested in reading your work, right? Any questions at this stage?
No,
Any
ma'am.
questions? Yeah, any one of you? Have you all ever written any research paper by now? Or have you started?
Not yet, ma'am. Not for me.
Any one of you? So
Yeah,
I think we have 4 of you with us, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
got denied actually by the Scopus
Okay.
journal. I tried around 8
Oh,
to 10 times by doing some changes and edits, but
okay.
not happened yet.
So Vijay, very good you brought this up, and that is something which we will help you understand. And please understand one more thing. This is the normal process. All of us have faced rejections, so it is not something that you are facing alone. And the more reputed the journal, the stringent is their the quality standards. So please take this in your stride that there will be some amount of rejection initially, but then you you get an understanding of why it is getting rejected, and if you work on it you will definitely improve, right?
Yeah,
So that is the normal process, because that's the only way you will understand what is that they are expecting and where am I falling short, right? And that becomes very very important, right? So if you're going through or if you've already gone through it, Vijay, I would say that it's good that you have already experienced this, right?
Yeah.
Because you will, with every rejection, you understand better and you hone your research skills in the process,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the only way to overcome this is to exactly understand the reason for the rejection, right? And work on
Sometimes
it.
they give
And
comments, but sometimes they
hmm,
just reject it. So that is the problem. So you don't understand
correct,
every
correct.
time that why the rejection came.
Excellent, excellent, Vijay. So, typically, a good reputed journal will give you the reasons for rejection, Vijay. My suggestion to you would be next time when you're sending, you can even share those details with me. I can check on, whether they even provide, inputs, editorial inputs also or not, right? So, we could help you out with that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Anybody else who has written so far between Anil, Sangram, and Shikha? Any
Ma'am,
one of
I
you?
have written a paper on digital payments, and
Hmm.
but I
Yeah.
presented it in MIT only, and it was not including much of data. I didn't perform any statistical based research there.
Okay.
I yes, it was just I collected facts, and through facts I
Hmm.
just wrote a
Okay.
paper. Yes.
You collected what
You
through?
can Sir, ma'am, I collected through literature review. I included and then objectives and what all is happening in the payment system, payment landscape, what it is, and it was
Okay.
like a non-statistical based research.
Okay. Okay. So was it a paper on your literature review?
No, ma'am, it was not a paper on literature review. It
Hmm.
included all uh, my own opinion regarding what are the areas where it was not completely based on literature review. Literature review was a part of it, and
Okay.
then
Okay.
I
Fine.
just discussed about what is the payment landscape and how what more can be included in it, where lies the gaps, and so on.
Yeah. So Shika, typically a paper, let's say on digital payment that you are, going to work on, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There could be two types of papers that can come out from this topic, and that's true for everybody else also. Either it could be a literature review paper, which means what is a literature review paper? So that's a paper where you are only trying to review whatever has been published so far on digital payments anywhere in the world. So Shikha, so starting from globally, you will have to search and then narrow it down to maybe India, maybe narrow it down to, let's say, Pune. You are doing it for Pune city, so you could narrow it down to Pune city, right? So you will have to read those papers and review them and then paraphrase those the findings in your own words. That's a literature review paper. Am I clear? So
Yes,
that is again, for every topic there could be a paper from your end, a scientific paper from your end, which could be a literature review paper, and that is your chapter 2 of your thesis, incidentally. So I would strongly recommend you all to start looking at that literature review chapter of your thesis, right? And try to get a paper out of it. And even when we are talking about assignments of in this scientific paper writing, you could maybe submit one of them as that should be absolutely fine, no issues, right?
okay,
And that will
okay,
help
ma'am.
you once you start working on your thesis. Am I clear on that? So one paper could be a literature review paper, and typically the second paper is the the findings of your research when they are presented, along with some literature review. That becomes a second paper which can come out from your thesis, right? So typically we expect two types of papers. One is based on literature review alone, and other is based primarily on your findings, with supporting it with the literature review, which is the major references that you may have used or referred. Am I clear on this so far?
Yes,
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 students,
ma'am. Yeah,
scholars
yeah,
rather. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah,
fine.
ma'am.
yeah.
Any
Very clear.
questions? Any questions?
Nothing at this point of time again.
Okay, so I think we are left with only 3 minutes, 3:31 minutes. So do we need to re-enter, or how do we go
We
about
have to
Vijay?
rejoin.
Yeah, we have to
rejoin
rejoin.
the same link.
So what we'll do is we'll rejoin. I think there is some issue with my slides also, so we'll rejoin, and I'm sure then the slides will start moving back, right?
Yeah,
I
sure.
think
Yes.
it's
Okay, ma'am.
so we will rejoin immediately, right?